Welcome back to the Sports Place. As usual, I'm joined by my two favorite co-hosts, one who is a professional athlete and another who routinely missed wide open layups on his JV team.
See, every time, you come with these jokes from
They're
stuff
true.
that I told you in private and confidence, it's beginning to hurt my feelings, but it's all right because we're here on the Sports Place and I'm always right. So that's how I get my revenge. So let's do this.
Let's just hope your
Mom,
skills age like some wine and you got a little better over time. Because I'm tired of hearing about these flashbacks of hit from hell.
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? I did get better. You know what I'm
We're
saying?
gonna have to drop some of my man film on the show one day. Let y'all know my man can make a layup now.
All right, so with all the chitter chatter about Russell Wilson going on right now, will he still be in Seattle next season?
Great question. Great question.
All right, so I can take that. So I'll just say this. Russell Wilson is an 8-time Pro Bowl quarterback, former All-Pro, Super Bowl champion. When you look at his numbers throughout his career, 65% completion percentage. When you look at the fact that he has, I think, a passer rating throughout his career of around 101, there's no way Seattle gives that up and rolls the dice. There are a lot of teams out there that need a quarterback or have a middling quarterback. Like I think somewhere where like Las Vegas, some of the places that have been mentioned as landing spots have a middling quarterback or even a good quarterback like Dallas, which still has Dak Prescott. They have to figure out what they're going to do with them. But, Russell Wilson is a special generational talent. And they would be ridiculous. They would be absurd. They would be silly to give that up to take somebody that could be a flop or could be at the end of their career or be even a step down from someone who brought them a Super Bowl and took them to 2. And even in the other Super Bowl, we all saw they were one play away from winning that Super Bowl. I think, Pete Carroll is a good coach, but I'm not so sure that when you look at coaching, if Pete Carroll is the same level coach as Russell Wilson is a quarterback. I think Russell Wilson, arguably, out of every season that I can recall, Russell Wilson has been the best player in the NFL for at least 4 games, like of every season, just about. He's been the best player in the NFL for at least 4 games. You cannot give that up and then end up with Marcus Mariota. You know what I mean? You cannot give that. No disrespect to Marcus Mariota. I think he's going to be good. And we will talk about the fact that I think he will be starting next season. But you can't give that up for Marcus Mariota. You can't give that up and end up with Andy Dalton, as your quarterback next season. And those guys
I definitely feel you when you're going with your argument, but it's not about what the organization wants at this point. It's about what Russell wants. If the organization put things together to keep Russell there, of course, maybe Russell will stay. But like I said, he's a generational talent. He's one of those guys who developed, well, when he first came out, people didn't look at him as like this, but he's one of those guys who's one of the top tier quarterbacks, maybe of all time in the NFL. Consistently great, consistently in the playoffs, always does his thing. Probably one of the most winningest quarterbacks in the fourth quarter. His fourth quarter comeback this past season were elite. When it comes to Russell Wilson right now, it's about where he wants to go. If Seattle can persuade him to stay, that's cool. But I don't feel like he's going to be in Seattle this year. I can't say where he's going to be, but for him to come out to the media, Russell Wilson, to say that he's not happy with the Seattle Seahawks, that says a lot because he's not that type of guy. He's a player's coach, a coaching player, whatever you want to say. He's a team first player. So for him to actually come out to the media and speak on the team like that, he's not happy. He doesn't want to be there anymore. And if they can persuade him to stay by bringing better linemen there and keeping them protected, maybe. But at the same time, it's all about Russell. And I say again, he came out to the media and spoke from his team and said these things. It wasn't speculation. It came from his mouth. So that's how you know he's ready to go somewhere else. He's ready to produce somewhere else. He knows what he can do. Everybody knows what he can do. It's about who can persuade him and let him know that he's going to be protected. We're going to win championship, playoff runs, all that stuff. It got to be the right fit for Russ.
I agree. And well, I will say this. I think that Russell Wilson will be the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks. Because I look at what happened, and you may be a little young to remember this, and Eric does, but Kobe Bryant at one point was unhappy with the Los Angeles Lakers, right?
I remember that.
And he was talking about, he wanted to be traded and all that. And what did Los Angeles do? They did whatever Kobe Bryant wanted. I think that Seattle realizes having a generational talent at quarterback is something that does not happen every day. I think top 10 quarterbacks, I would say absolutely. He could stop playing today. He could retire and still be top 10, maybe top 15, but I would put him in the top 10 quarterbacks of all time when you look at his production and what he's been able to do there in Seattle. There are quarterbacks out there, you can talk about the Dan Marinos and others who don't have Super Bowl rings and didn't make 2 different Super Bowls within 10 seasons in the NFL, less than 10 seasons in the NFL. And of course, they had a great defense. They had a good running game. There's quarterbacks don't do it by themselves. And I think that's one of the things that, people in football and all these football analysts need to recognize. Quarterbacks do not win games by themselves.
At all.
It's very, very rare that you have a quarterback that can win a game by himself. But I'll tell you this, they have the most influence of anybody on the offensive side of the ball. And you see what a quarterback does, when you got a decent quarterback in Indianapolis, somebody who I've criticized, but still decent, and he took them into the playoffs. Didn't take them very far, but he took them into the playoffs. You look at, of course, with Tampa Bay, when they had an average quarterback who put up big numbers, a lot of interceptions, but put up big numbers. You had an average quarterback and you went 8-8. You had a great generational talent quarterback, great all-time great quarterback, and you win a Super Bowl. And I think that Seattle doesn't want to go back to being a 7-9 team. If you bring in an Andy Dalton, or you bring in a Marcus Mariota, or you bring in a Jameis Winston, you have a good chance of going back to being a 7-9 team, a 6-10 team. With Russell Wilson, you are usually going to make the playoffs, and you have a chance. You are in the chatter and in the discussion for making and winning a Super Bowl almost every season, just because Russell Wilson is under center and you're going to have a solid offense. I think that they owe it to him to get him, a right tackle, a left tackle, both guards. They need to shore up that offensive line. And then, of course, make sure he has the receivers he wants. And it appears that he wants to stop rolling out of the pocket so much. He wants to stay in the pocket. He wants to stay protected. I think all of these quarterbacks are seeing Tom Brady and a guy who's like, I'm going to play until I'm 45 years old. I'm going to have a 25-year career. And these guys want that. They want to compete for a long time. The days of playing till you're 32 are over for quarterbacks. They want to be like baseball pitchers. And the only way you're going to do that is if you don't take a whole lot of hits. You don't take those Troy Aikman hits and all that. You take fewer hits, fewer concussions, fewer leg injuries, and you stay
in the injuries.
Right. And so quarterbacks want that. And I think Russell Wilson has earned it. And they should build their offense around Russell Wilson and what he wants, and see what kind of success they can get out of it.
Okay, so let's talk about the kid for a second. Did we overreact to the kid trash talking Cam Newton?
Let me take the lead on that one. I feel like in a way, yes and no. So I'm going to say like we overreacted because at the end of the day, we see Cam in a certain light. We see him as like the older people, I'm not that much older, or young or older. I'm in the middle, I guess. But everybody sees Cam as still the guy with that status of MVP, great player, one of the best quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. So of course people gonna overreact, but at the end of the day, it's about a child respecting an adult. Trash talk is cool, blah blah blah. Because we play sports, we gonna talk trash. So that's why I was like, okay, it's cool for the kid to blah blah blah. You can talk your game, but at the same time, you gotta remember you're talking to a grown man, and that grown man could choose the way he wants to react, or cause and effect. At the end of the day, if it was a different person, things could have been different. It was a random guy on the street, you wouldn't be doing that, but you're doing it because you know it's Cam Newton. He can't respond a certain way. He can't act a certain way. So I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna get little views and little videos, and maybe people respect me more. But on the other side of that, you gotta realize college coaches are watching, NFL scouts are watching. Everybody knows your name. The high schools around the area are watching as well. So you're putting yourself in a bad light, in a bad spot, because you gotta realize everybody's watching what you're doing. And what you see is a great moment for you to seem cool. It's a moment for these coaches to realize, okay, this kid shows no respect for adults. Cam was out there being a coach at that. So you don't respect your coaches, you're not teachable, you can't learn. So what can I do for you? Or how can we work together? So it was just like a big cesspool of craziness, because it's all different opinions coming from in all these different areas. But at the end of the day, the child, he was out of line. It's certain things you say. You can talk, like I said, you can talk trash, but it's the way you speak to a person. And what he was saying was out of line, because you're literally jabbing at a spot that you're trying to hurt this man. You wasn't trying to trash talk. You were literally trying to put this man down and beat this man down. Irregardless of all the stuff he did in the past, your argument was, you're a free agent, you're trash, you're free agent, you're a free agent. It's a million free agents out here, you know what I mean? And I felt a little some type of way, because I know me, if I was in a situation, I may handle a little differently. Because everybody's mental state is different. You don't know how Cam was feeling that day. Cam could have wilded out on camera. He could have lost it all. Like, this little boy, I done did all this, all these accolades, and I still can't get my respect. This is a kid saying this to me. Like, I felt Cam. He's like, where your dad at? Where your dad? Because if I went to the dad, and me and dad would have went out back and had a conversation, you felt the same way. But like I said, he in a place where you got to react a certain way. You always got to keep your cool, and let's not fetch the athlete, because at the end of the day, he disrespecting me, my legacy, my well-being. You talking about the way I feed my family. So it was big for me, because like I said, I've been in those moments before, and I've been in those type of situations. And the way you handle it is everything. Cam handled it the right way, but it could have been different if it wasn't Cam.
Let me just say, as somebody who has a son, I have no problem, and I know where this question comes from. There was an article in the Undefeated where the author essentially said that we all overreacted, and that we overreact to Black children, in ways that we shouldn't. And actually in the article, he said, the kid should have apologized in private, I guess. I'm going to say I disagree with that. I do agree that we overreact to Black children and their actions. And this was not the biggest thing in the world. This was not, earth shattering. This is not something, where, this kid's future should be ruined because he trash talked Cam Newton. Cam is built for that. You know what I mean? He's all right. He'll live. The thing that frustrated me is, and as a father, and I know this kid's father probably felt the same way, trash talk the kid who's standing across from you on the field. Now, Savon Savon is a free agent right now. Savon is somebody who, is looking to make an NFL roster. But until you, 15-year-old kid, have reached the level that Savon is at, even, then you cannot speak to Savon the way you speak to your competition standing across from you. I will never, ever get upset with my son for trash talking the guy he's playing ball with. Hopefully he won't miss as many wide open layups as I did. But if he trash talks his competition on the basketball court or on the football field or whatever sport he chooses to play, the pitcher in baseball, I'm not going to be upset. You don't talk to the refs. You don't talk to the coaches. You talk to your competition. You know what I mean? I'm all right with that. Get in his head. I'm okay. But Cam Newton, and we don't have to list down Cam Newton's resume, but we know that Cam Newton has been an MVP. He's been an All-Pro. He was a #1 draft pick in the NFL draft. He won a college national championship. You know, he was a major recruit, coming into Florida. That kid could only dream to have accomplished what Cam Newton has accomplished. And for you to discount all of that, and if you want to bring race into it, yes, I think Black kids should respect Black adults, particularly when they have accomplished what you're looking to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? So any kid, if we're standing there at a camp and he's yelling at Savon, oh, you're a free agent, you didn't get drafted. I'm like, when you make it to the NFL, when you make it into an NFL camp, then you can talk. When you make it and play professional football and lead, your team and your league in sacks, then you can talk to Savon.
But also, another thing I feel about that, like you say, going back to the Black athletes, you rarely get a chance to see somebody like you on that level. So when you get that moment or that chance, why use it for negativity? Why not sit down and ask him because he's obviously talking back to you. Why not sit down and try to talk to him about what he can do to get better, or how did you get to this point, or what obstacle did you face? But instead you choose to go the other route. When is another chance you're gonna see an all-pro football player, NFL MVP in person? Kids don't see it like that. Like if I just back in my day, like I'm that much farther ahead of them. But if I seen somebody like that, I'd probably be scared to talk to them. They idolize these type of people. I would never fix my mouth to disrespect anybody like that. Like unless they came to me first, because I was a bad kid. I was a class clown, of course. But if I see one of my idols, or not even got me my idol, if I see somebody who's well respected and one of the best players, and they look like me, I'm gonna use the opportunity to get some knowledge if I can, or not. I'm gonna ask for a picture and keep it moving. Like you don't have to disrespect.
But I don't want to hold this kid so accountable because he's 15. Mm-hmm. But I think his father should make a correction. You know what I mean? If that were my
15 son, is more than old enough to understand. He knew what he was doing, and he knew he knew what he was doing.
But then again, this is the problem with these.
Yeah.
He wanted views and clicks. Shoot, maybe we need to start criticizing some people so we can get more than 200 views.
That's all for this episode of The Sports Place. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe. If you have any topic ideas that you think we should cover, go ahead and drop them in the comments.